Welcome to Across Africa, our weekly roundup of stories from across the continent. I'm Georgia Calvin-Smith, and coming up, Congolese warlord Bosco Taganda is convicted of 18 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity by the International Criminal Court. He was charged with overseeing the murder, rape and conscription of children in DR Congo between 2002 and 2003. Also, only Eritrea is left as the holdout on the African Continental Free Trade Area after Nigeria and Benin joined the ranks as the world's largest free trade area goes operational. And a documentary celebrating Senegal's dance scenes currently touring Europe. L'appel à la danse means the call of the dance, the name referring to the moment right before dancing when the need to move becomes overwhelming. But first, the International Criminal Courts convicted a former Congolese warlord of war crimes, including murder, rape, and the use of child soldiers. Bosco Taganda was found guilty of 18 charges in all. At least 800 people were killed by his fighters whilst he was military operations chief of UPC rebels in eastern DR Congo in 2002 to 2003. Catherine Bennett has more.
Guilty of rape as a war crime. As concerns count 7, guilty of sexual slavery as a crime against humanity.
Bosco and Taganda showed no emotion as the International Criminal Court pronounced its judgment. He's been dubbed the Terminator for his role in the slaughter of thousands of civilians in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The former warlord was convicted on Monday of rape and sexual slavery, masterminding massacres and forcing children to fight in his rebel army. He was found guilty of all 13 counts of war crimes and 5 counts of crimes against humanity. During his trial, which lasted 3 years, he told judges that the nickname the Terminator could not apply to him.
I am a revolutionary, but I am not a criminal. I am at peace with myself because I know these allegations are all lies.
He is the only person to have given himself up voluntarily to the International Criminal Court, walking into the US Embassy in Kigali, Rwanda in 2013 and asking to be tried by the court. He was a commander in the armed militia, the Patriotic Forces for the Liberation of Congo, during a bloody ethnic conflict between 2002 and 2003 in Ituri, a mineral-rich region in the east of the country. The force's leader, Thomas Lubanga, has already been tried by the court and is currently serving a 14-year prison sentence. Head Judge Robert Freme said that Ntaganda was a key leader who gave orders to his soldiers to deliberately target civilians. The court will decide on his sentence at a later hearing.
Well, after 17 years of negotiations, the African Union's finally officially launched the world's largest trading bloc. Nigeria and Benin added their signatures to the agreement for the African Continental Free Trade Area during the AU summit in Niger. Eritrea is now the only member country holding out. Nicolas Chemin has more.
The concrete reduction of tariffs among African states is still far away, but the so-called operational phase has now been launched. 54 of Africa's 55 countries have signed the agreement. Only Eritrea hasn't, but it said it would consider it. The president of South Africa called the deal historic.
It will cover 1.2 billion Africans and 54 countries at the moment, with the other one to join later. With a GDP of $3 trillion, that's phenomenal.
South Africa has a lot to gain from the deal. It's the continent's most developed nation, and its manufacturers will be able to export their products more easily. Muhammadu Buhari's Nigeria, which relies heavily on oil exports, is less enthusiastic. It fears it could be flooded with low-priced goods that could harm local producers. Ethiopia's president believes the agreement is part of a historical process.
The ambition of this agreement corresponds to our previous goals. In 1963, we created the Organization of African Unity. Initially, not every country was on board. That happened gradually, and then we obtained the African Union.
Obstacles to the free trade zone are the continent's weak transport infrastructure and corruption, and above all, conflicts, according to Congo's president.
The real issue for me is that you need peace and security everywhere. The African Union had that objective for 2020, but it doesn't look like that will be achievable. But that is the priority for me. First, you have to pacify the whole continent, stop all the inter-ethnic conflicts, etc. And only when that has happened can we start to think about the efficiency of the free trade area.
The operational calendar remains unclear, but some of the least developed nations will have up to 15 years to cut their tariffs.
Now, a documentary celebrating Senegal's dance scenes currently touring throughout Europe. L'appel à la danse means the call of the dance, referring to the moment right before dancing when the need to move becomes overwhelming. But the professional dancers featured in the film warn that without more financial support, artists like them will be driven out of the industry. Camille Nedlek has more.
The documentary Call of Dance is a love letter to Senegal's dance scene and to that special moment right before the first step.
We wanted to show that precise second when human beings, dancers, shift into a different world, when they can't resist moving, be it through joy, because of a party, tradition, the group, competition. We wanted to capture those moments that call on us to dance.
2 of the dances were choreographed, but most are spontaneous and improvised, and feature amateurs as well as professionals. While the documentary tours Europe, its dancers back in Senegal are still doing what they love. Though some believe in the power of dance to change society, dancers also worry that low pay threatens their craft.
Often it feels like we work for nothing. Over time, you become demotivated. I think it's mainly feeling that often working for nothing undervalues the job, so we lose the will to carry on.
The documentary makers say Call of Dance is the first in a series of films that will highlight dance cultures around the world.
Now, Nigeria's growing middle class has led to a boom in the demand for meat. Much of that demand is met by livestock raised by Fulani herdsmen, who raise their herds across West Africa and often travel vast distances to take the produce to market.
Usman has covered more than 500 kilometres with his herd. 10 days to reach the Ilele market in northern Nigeria. The Fulani breeder from Mali says the journey is long but worth it. Cows are worth considerably more in Nigeria than back home.
It's difficult to sell my cows in Mali or Niger. When I come to this international market in Nigeria, I sell them easily and earn good money. I always prefer coming here.
Once the transactions are complete, the majority of the animals are loaded onto trucks. Direction, Lagos, which has 20 million inhabitants to feed.
Cattle alone, at least we are consuming over 200 trucks a week in Lagos here because of the population.
Individuals, intermediaries and supermarkets all come to negotiate the purchase of the 1,000 cows arriving at the Lagos market daily. Prices vary between 350 and 1,000 euros, depending on the size and the cow's health.
If I buy, I will put it inside the vehicle or motor. I will take it to my slaughter. When I go, I will slaughter to sell my customers.
In the midst of a population boom, Nigeria consumes 380,000 tons of beef per year and will consume 3 times more by 2050.
Now, African Fashion Week is a world-class event that's taking the celebration of African design around the continent and beyond. Our team in Colombia couldn't pass up the chance to explore edgy styles and sophisticated looks on display on catwalks in the country's famous Salt Cathedral of Zipaquirre. Our Liliana Valencia caught up with Botswana designer SENEO MOJI and asked her about her Afrocentric inspiration.
In Botswana, we don't necessarily use the wax from the East Africa or West Africa. We use what we call the German print. It was, inherited long time ago from the Germans. So it's what we use. Normally we use it during the matrimonial ceremonies, like weddings and stuff. So I chose to use that because that's what represents who I am, that represents my country. So I used that, but fused it with the Western fabrics as well. But it still identifies me as an African. Not that I don't like the Western fabrics, I work with them because they're also colorful, but I chose to use the fabric that is very authentic in my country. It's cotton-based because in Botswana's climate is very hot, but we use fabrics that are cotton-based. So our main fabric is called German print. We call it leteisi, and it's beautiful. It comes out in different designs. You can play around with it. You can play around with color around it, and it comes in colorful colors. So, that's why I'm saying I'm happy to be in Colombia because Colombians like brighter colors and Botswana like brighter colors. So I'm very happy to be here.
So it's very nice to see the diversity of Africa through the fashion because it's not only Kente, for example, from Ghana, it's not only wax from Senegal. You have a different purpose, a different view from these fashion platforms. And talking about platforms, I want to ask you for finish, what do you think about the Africa Fashion Week goes from Africa, like Senegal, for example, like Ghana, like Paris, like New York, Johannesburg, to Colombia? What do you think about these kind of platforms in Latin America?
You know what? It's what we need as Africans or as the world because, like I'm saying, collaboration is the most important thing. Fusing cultures from different. We are one people. We are one. We are created to be one and to join and to make things beautiful. And for Africa Fashion Week to be going around the world, that's so beautiful. It means we can reach anything we want as Africans or as people, as humanity in the world.
Well, our Liliana Valencia there speaking to designer SENEO MOJI. That is, though, all we have time for now for Across Africa. Thanks for joining us, and do so again if you can. Take care.